Everybody loves somebody sometime. An investigation into the love life of young people. Spring is here, and on the top of all, we hear about Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson getting engaged. It is an appropriate time to talk openly about romance. And with romance in mind, let's listen together to a beautiful love song, Spanish Eyes by Snyder Kempfort. That was Spanish Eyes by Kempfort. Everybody is romantic, more or less. Was it the same at the beginning of the century, I wonder? Mrs. Jessie B., 70 years old, talks straight to the subject.
I think romance is meeting the right one and falling head over the heels in love, and not weighing the pros and cons, but just knowing that that's the right one.
How would you compare the romanticism today with romanticism in your young age?
Well, I think in my young days, romance was really romance. You met one person and you loved that person, but today I think people, they don't realise what romance is because they meet so many people, they have friendships with so many people, and they just try everything out and they give no chance for romance.
Are you still a romantic person? Do you still enjoy listening to Johann Strauss and to other romantic music?
Oh, I think romance is the most wonderful thing in the world. I think to hear of two people falling in love and sharing everything, I think it's the most wonderful thing, I really do. And romantic music, well, that's lovely because it just brings those thoughts to your minds, those thoughts of love and togetherness.
What would you advise young boys and girls? How would you advise them to express their romantic feelings? For example, in the church.
In the church, well, I think that knowing the surrounding attitude today, especially in the church, I would teach young people God's truths about these things, that true romance is more serious than they all seem to imagine today. It's not something which can be tried out and practiced at leisure. It's something which God ordained, and one should wait for it and be prepared to wait a long time, if necessary, for the one that God has prepared you to be romantic with.
That was Mrs. Jessie B, interviewed by Genovieva Beattie. So, young people were romantic at the beginning of the century, at least as romantic as the young people in our days. Let's hear together a romantic song that used to be on many lips some 25 years ago. My Eyes Adored You, from the album of Nolan Cruz. We listen to My Eyes Adored You by Nolan Cruz, a romantic song of the early 1960s. What about romance in our days? Stephen, a young married man with fresh memories about his honeymoon, shares his thoughts on romance.
Romance can mean many things. I think it's generally a feeling associated with love and could vary according to one's background and culture and temperament.
Are you romantic yourself?
For me, I don't think I'm particularly romantic. No, I think my wife's a lot more romantic than I am.
Yeah, everybody is romantic somehow.
Yes, I suppose in some respects I might be romantic, but I find it hard to know what the word means.
But you've explained that romance has something to do with feeling.
Yes, I suppose it's a warm feeling you get when you're in love with someone.
And surely you have that sort of warm feeling.
Yes.
So you are romantic.
Yes, I suppose I am.
Did it help you when you were thinking of getting married?
Yes, I'm sure it did, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. I wouldn't think that it's enough just to feel you're romantic or in love or something.
But after these months of your marriage, are you still romantic?
I think I'm as romantic as I ever was before, yes.
Has your wife helped you to be more romantic?
Yes, being married to a romantic Romanian has definitely helped me.
What advice do you have for the young men who are of your age?
Yes, what I would say is enjoy it while you can, but don't take it too seriously.
It was an original interview, wasn't it? Let's hear together an original love song for number 2, from the album of Mickey and Becky. welcome the dreams of a young girl about romance. Our interviewer visited Mary in her own home.
Oh, I think of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. That's probably thought of as romantic love.
Fine. Are you romantic?
I like romantic music.
And you are romantic also.
Probably, yes.
Do you express it?
In some ways, yes.
You just tell me just in one way that you express.
I think it can touch all parts of life. I just think of flowers and things like that.
Is it necessary to be romantic? You think it helps?
Yes, I think life can be very boring if everything's utilitarian.
So what advice will you give to people of your age as far as romance is concerned?
Be romantic.
Tired, yet I can't sleep. Wounded, yet I can't weep. Sinful, yet I can pray. Father, hear the words I cannot say. Certain, yet I'm afraid. Going, and yet I stayed. Faithful, yet untrue. Father, make me more and more like you. Sorrowful, yet not sad. Happy, and yet not glad. Searching, yet I know the way. Father, teach and lead me day by day. Tired, yet I can't sleep. Wounded, yet I can't weep. Sinful, yet I can pray. Father, hear the words I cannot say.
Many young girls share the same views as Mary. But who can tell us God's mind on romance better than a pastor? Genovieva Beattie interviewed Pastor David Keabo from Uganda.
I think it is a feeling put in us by God. It is a wonderful attraction between man and woman. It is an expression of love between the two.
Where in the Bible does God talk to us about being romantic?
I think it's in the book of Solomon, where God spoke to us through Solomon. This is in the book of Songs, the Songs of Solomon. He was talking about love. Once again, in the book of Genesis, when God made a wife for Adam, Adam was so romantic because he embraced his wife and said, oh, this is a woman. He came from man. So, this is why we find it romantic, yes.
Where do you think a love story should lead to?
I think it should lead to marriage.
What would you advise unmarried young people to do with their romantic feeling?
I would advise them to praise God for the feeling of love, to commit it to the Lord, to express it to the right person and to thank God for it. At the end, my advice is be romantic, get married, and continue to be romantic and praise God for the feeling of love.
So Bishop David tells us that God instituted romance. Isn't that wonderful? Romance is God's plan for a man and a woman to express their attraction towards one another. Within God's plan, romance is a powerful source of life. Outside God's plan, it can be a source of division and cruelty. Romance is justified only when it is an expression of real love. Then, romance is really wonderful.